Hey there, folks. Got another special interview for you here. I'm hoping to do more and more of these here, and it's another application interview here. As you know, I'm an app junkie, third party app junkie for the cars, and I've got Ramin from Stats for Tesla app here. You've seen me talk about that app quite a bit out there between him and the Tesla app. Those are the two that I use most. So you guys asked for it quite literally. I forget who it was on Twitter that asked for it, but here's
Tesla
Ramin.
Raj.
Who was it?
It was Tesla Raj.
That's right. That's right. Tesla Raj got it. So you're welcome, Tesla Raj. I've got Ramin on the show. Ramin, how you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Glad to have you. Sorry about behind the scenes here. I had what is it, about a good 40 minutes worth of audio difficulty trying to get this thing to work. So apologies to you, Ramin, for the delay.
No worries.
Alrighty. So actually, I think I'll start with a question that I asked you before I got the audio working. Tell me. So is this your full-time job or not?
Now, sort of. I don't know how to answer that anymore. It started as a hobby back in 2017 January when I got my car, the first Model S, and then it was a weekend deal and late night deal, and then it grew, and it became what it is now, and it's consuming a lot of my time now.
What actually gave you the idea to first start doing the app? Just not satisfied with what you could see with the current app, or?
I only wanted one thing that Tesla app at the time didn't have, and that was the widget. Because I used the widget a lot to control the thermostat and this and that, and the widget was missing. So I thought, okay, this is a small app, but just do the widget and we're done with it.
And now it's turned into this very useful app for other things, definitely than the widget. Although I did call out the widget here not that long ago. I said, don't sleep on the widget. And I had a bunch of people like, what's the widget? And I'm like, oh my God, you're missing one of the best parts.
I know most people don't use the widget at all because it's kind of hidden.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way to market it on the App Store or anything.
Yeah.
So
What they did with iOS and widgets, it's kind of hidden off to the side there. And actually, I didn't even know the Tesla app had a widget for the longest time.
really,
And then when I discovered that was like a whole new world then. And now I've got your app, and that's kind of made the Tesla app obsolete for me for the widget there.
thanks for saying that. That's my goal. No, it's not. Actually, it's a compliment. It's complementary to the Tesla app because I try not to duplicate stuff that Tesla app does already. Like Tesla app does summon very well. I'm a little bit scared to use it, but so I don't copy stuff that is there already because it's nice. Tesla app, it's fine. So I do things that Tesla app doesn't do. I think that way I can add value as opposed to becoming yet another app for Tesla that duplicates the functionality.
Well, and to that point, things you do that the Tesla app does not do. Two in particular. One is the ability to schedule your heating and cooling for whenever you like, because we all know the cars have allegedly smart preconditioning, but nobody that's ever tried to use that has ever said that it's either smart or actually preconditions their car when they expect it to. So your ability to actually schedule that exactly when you want it is phenomenal. And as I've mentioned before on Twitter a few times, one of my favorite features of your app is the smart battery prep. For me personally, I know that you had originally done that more so that the car would be more efficient when you drove it out. But as it works out for me, being a big efficiency dork, I don't like the fact that if I plug my car in at 10 o'clock at night and it finishes charging at 3 o'clock, and by the time I leave at 7, I've got a little bit of phantom drain there. So if I use your battery prep situation there and I set it to, okay, and I know that an hour before I leave, I want it to go from 80% to 90%. Now I've got a 90% battery exactly. And I don't have to worry about that phantom drain anymore. And bonus, I don't have to keep it at that 90% state of charge for as long as, the batteries obviously don't like being at a very high state of charge consistently. So I love being able to do that.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that use case. I live in a city that is not very cold and not very hot, Southern California. So I don't get to use that feature myself very often, but your use case applies to me as well. I may do that.
Yeah, for especially in the winter, because living here in Ohio, we've seen some terrible, below single digit temperatures here in Ohio over this last winter. So that also was a good thing. Leaving the house, having the car completely ready so that regenerative braking and all that fun stuff works out of the gate. Now that's a problem when I'm leaving work, but hey, you can only do so much.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, that was one of the features that when I first developed the app and for widget, and I sent it to my friend for testing, who got a Tesla at the same time that I got. He told me, "Hey, can you do this?" He lives in Chicago, and at the time, so he told me, "Hey, can you do this?" I said, "Oh, this is hard. I don't know how to do this. The app doesn't run in the background constantly, so I need a server." But eventually, I did that, and then he switched to Android. He's not using that anymore.
As many have lamented, there is no stats for Tesla for Android. So you're a dedicated iOS developer, I take it.
I am, and so this was supposed to be fun, and I think switching to Android and porting the app to Android is not going to be fun because it's fragmented. So it's device fragmented and the OS is fragmented, and it makes it difficult, and dealing with all those type of devices, not fun.
You basically just described development in general on Apple versus anything else anywhere. So
Right.
having that known quantity of this is definitely going to be the hardware and this is definitely what I'm working with. Yeah, I can definitely appreciate that.
Exactly. The tools are so good, and the reviewers are very good in Apple. And
minus that one guy the other day that that said that it the one that on Twitter that you posted that review that said that this doesn't do anything that the normal Tesla app doesn't do, and I'm like, really? Did you ever even you clearly did not use the app?
No, yeah, that was clearly not a serious review. By reviewers, I meant Apple reviewers.
Oh, gotcha.
But you're right. The reviewers of the app are 99.9% are very kind, and I'm surprised and humbled that I have so many good reviews on the App Store.
No, so full disclosure for everyone, and I've said this a lot over the time on Twitter, but Ramin did provide me a copy of the app, so I did not pay for the app. However, I would absolutely pay for it because it is worth every dime, and I've said that quite a bit.
I gave you a code.
Yeah, you hooked me up with a code, and I am in the beta test side, and actually that's dovetailing with what I was about to say. Is I'm going to pat myself on the back. So for those of you out there that have a watch version, an Apple Watch, and you like the Apple Watch version of this app, I had told Ramin after I got the code, I'm like, hey, if you had a watch version of this would be killer. And Ramin at first said.
So I said, no, it's too slow. I'm not going to develop anything for watch anymore. I've developed watch apps for Nest thermostat and all. And I didn't like the slowness of it. But that was only because I had the Watch Series 0. And you told me that, I think you told me that Watch Series 4 is much faster. Somehow you and other people convinced me that it's a good idea to do this. I'm really happy that I did it. I use it all the time now.
Yeah, because so at the time, actually, I have a Series 4 now. I had a 3 at the time, and I'm like, no, this is, because the original version of the Apple Watch, it was iffy. I messed around with it, and it was enough that, I wasn't interested in it. And I think it was about the Series 3 where it actually, I was like, okay, this is something I'll actually use. And now I've got the 4. That's got all the extra heart rate gig, equipment on there and whatnot. So, but yeah, it's been awesome.
It's an entirely different beast, and it's useful actually to run apps on it.
Yeah, and I agree. Especially as going, flipping between the Stats app. It runs smooth and it seems to be pretty responsive. The Siri shortcuts are awesome. I ask her to pop the trunk, unlock the car, do that stuff constantly, especially if I left my key fob upstairs and it's nighttime and I'm like, oh, I need to get in the car for something. Then that's exactly what I'm doing.
Right. And having the watch app actually makes Siri shortcuts on the watch much faster because of I just said Siri and my phone picked up.
I've been watching mine too just to see if it does. It has not yet.
But it's much faster because when you have a watch app implemented on your watch, the Siri commands are processed locally on the watch. So it's no longer go to iPhone, come back, send the command to the car, and come back. So this round trip is eliminated. Yeah, that was another advantage.
As I say, because as we already know, if you're working with the Tesla API, it's not the fastest thing in the world. I know that the Alexa app that I use. Oh, dang it! I said the A word. I don't need you.
Oh, you woke up my Alexa.
Yeah, I know you don't know that. Stop it. The Echo app that I have. I'll ask it whatever I need to ask it, and then you wait about 5 seconds or so, and then you'll get your response.
Right. The delay is there, and I wish I could suggest something to Tesla about the API. There are ways to make it event-based, as opposed to the way it is now, which is polling. Mm-hmm. Like Nest, everything that happens, you never poll the thermostat. When something happens, it gives you an event notification, and that way everything's instantaneous. But I'm grateful that Tesla has provided the API the way it is.
And actually, that's a good question. Have you had any interaction with Tesla themselves regarding the app, or in any capacity, or are you just kind of working with what you got?
Yeah, I work with what we got, and never attempted contacting them. This wasn't supposed to be a business. It was supposed to be a hobby and something in the background that was useful for myself. The apps that I've written many apps, like about 30 maybe. The ones that have been successful are the ones that I actually use every day. And this is certainly one of them.
Yeah, definitely for me, especially, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not using it in some way, whether it's looking at what my efficiency was, seeing if I'm getting better compared to the other users on the app, or if I'm using it to unlock the car or whatever, right? It is an everyday use for me, absolutely.
To a large extent, also, the app is useful because people on Twitter and using the support link, which is in the app, they suggest features. And so you implement things that actually people want to do and use.
So actually, along that lines then, anything you want to share that might be new coming up?
As you might know, I mean, I announce everything on Twitter. I spend half of my time on Twitter these days. So the new thing that's coming up is a viewer for the dashcam and Sentry videos. It's cumbersome to get to those videos, and there's no way to get to them while you're in the car and you get that notification that says Sentry event has happened. So this has occurred to me a few times. Oh, what happened? I don't know. Did somebody do something to my car? So I go around the car and see if there's a scratch or something. If I had that ability to browse the videos inside the car on my phone, I figured it would be useful. And I didn't think that it's useful for anybody else. So I just announced it on Twitter that I'm considering doing this. I did a poll, I think. And then I was surprised on my phone was...
Your phone exploded, didn't it?
Every second, I was surprised. And then for the next 3 or 4 days, I was just on my computer trying to get this to work, and the beta was just approved.
Yeah, I saw your video, your original video, kind of your first test at it, and then I think you put another one out here not that long ago when you said that you thought it was ready for beta. And yeah, that looks like a winner to me. Unfortunately, I have an AP1 car, so I will never be able to use it personally. But on the other side, hopefully a bunch of people will find that useful, because I know I would personally, if I had a car that could utilize it for sure.
I'll send you a code for a new Tesla.
I don't think it works that way. If it does, then please let me know. I'll be happy to take a brand new red Model 3, dual motor, long range.
You got it.
So that's the new app. Anything new coming in the stats app, though? That's where I was going with that first question.
It's up to you guys to tell me what you want, and I add them.
All right.
Yeah. Well, the new thing that's coming now, which I don't know if you're not French speaker or German speaker or Spanish speaker, you don't care, but the app is becoming localized for those languages, French and German and Spanish, and probably more later. Chinese is the one that I want to do, but it's much more challenging than Latin-based languages. And my users have been incredibly generous in providing support to do these translations. This is a lot of work because that has grown so much. There's so much text. It took me the entire weekend just to localize the app because there's so much text I didn't realize.
Je parle un peu de français, mais pas depuis 20 ans.
Good.
I took 4.5 years between high school and a semester in college. But I haven't used it in a very, very long time, and my vocabulary is limited to what I learned in those 4.5 years.
You can set your locale on your phone to French and try the French version.
Yeah, I doubt that I would be able to understand it well enough to use it. Although if I remember what's going on from the English version, I'd probably be okay.
You probably know what they are anyway.
But yeah, so yeah, all you guys listening to this, then hit up @StatsTesla on Twitter if you want if you've got a feature suggestion. I'm not entirely sure what is left to implement, but who knows? Well, maybe the folks out there will have something for us.
Yeah, the app has become really big, and everything that I could think of is there already. It seems that way, but I'm open to suggestions always. Do you want me to go through some of the features of the app?
So actually, I guess that is a good question for those that may not know the app. I don't know how you don't, but you need to go check it out. So, Ramin, you want to give a quick rundown of what you would say the app can do?
Yeah, usually when people ask me that, it's so long that they get bored. But so I stopped talking about it after a while. So let's go through some features that might be a little bit hidden, and even if you have the app, you might not have seen it or noticed it. The Watch app is one of them. Then there are the Siri commands that we talked about. It works on both the iPhone and iPad and on the Watch natively. Then there are notifications. Notifications that tells you if the doors are open or the trunks are open, and
charge notification. That's one that I use.
Right, that's the one. I think you tweeted about that once. And then another one that tells you if the car is left unlocked and you're not in the car. Another notification is the one about climate. If the climate is somehow on and you're not in the car, it also sends you a notification. Then another recent feature, semi-recent feature, is that the app computes the saving that you get compared to cost saving that you get compared to a gas car. All you need to do is to enter the MPG of the gas car that you want to compare it with, and it does the rest. And that was actually eye-opening for me because I didn't realize how much saving I get just by using the electric car. We use solar, so our electricity is low cost.
Oh, very nice.
And then, so Siri, we talked about, there's a whole bunch of Siri commands from opening trunks and doors and unlocking and setting the charge limits. Even if your car has seat heaters, turning those on.
Yeah, actually, your Siri shortcut for controlling the HVAC I found to be really robust because depending on the command you issue, you can set it up for the various things. So I have mine set up. I have one that I tell her heat up the car, which will set the car to 70 degrees. It will turn both of the, I only have front seat heaters, so it'll turn both front seat heaters to setting 1, and then, do its thing, where vice versa, if I say cool down the car, I always run with 70 degrees, but obviously I'm not turning on the seat heaters if I want to cool down the car. So that's kind of the difference I did there. But the app lets you control all the seat heaters and the steering wheel heater. I think I saw it too, if I remember right.
Yes, I have that. I didn't know I have a seat heater until later. Yes, you can have unlimited number of configurations for the climate and seat heaters and assign them to unlimited number of series shortcuts. Oh, another hidden feature is that you can combine these shortcuts using the shortcut app, the Apple shortcut app. It's like a scripting thing that you combine different shortcuts provided even by different apps. So for an advanced user, you can combine them. I try to put all the combinations that are necessary already in stats, but I've seen users have been creative and creating their own combinations of these things. Then I wanted to know how my car is performing efficiency-wise and phantom drain-wise compared to other apps. That's why you see this histogram that shows how I'm doing with respect to efficiency compared to other users. And so there's this distribution and histogram that shows your position versus other users, both for efficiency and phantom drain.
Which for me as a gamer and a competitive person drives me bonkers, because I'm trying to figure out who the guy is. It looks like right now, as I look at all Model S users, it looks like there's somebody out there at about 137% efficiency. And I don't know, other than having another car push you along maybe, or if you found some way to go downhill both ways to destinations, how in the world that happens.
That guy used to be me when I had my older Model S. So my newer one has got 21-inch rims and really sticky tires. So my efficiency is like 85% now, but it used to be like 110, 120% with my original car.
So I'm sitting around, looks like about 105 at the moment, which I think was fantastic until, and I'm a 85D owner with 19-inch rims and, Michelin Primacy MXM4 low rolling resistance tires. So I'm, and I only ever drive the speed limit. So I don't know how this is that that many people are doing better than I am, because most people with these cars drive it like they stole it. And I am like the opposite.
Chill mode. Put it in chill mode, you get better efficiency.
Oh, that's not a bad idea. Although for the occasional times I want to stomp on it, then
I know. No, it's not fun. Don't use the chill mode.
The only time chill mode gets used is if I'm concerned about range. Then I stick it in chill mode and make sure.
Right. So there's a histogram. I added a histogram of firmware versions that shows which percent of users have which firmware.
Which actually is insanely useful for those of us that are like, okay, what's out there? Am I way behind? Am I ahead of the curve? Because me personally, for the longest time, I was at 2018.50.6. The fact that I remember that version says a lot. But yeah, yesterday I got the or it was either yesterday or 2 days ago, I can't remember which. I got the push for 16.2, and I see I am at the forefront, which has almost never been the case. I think that's that new advanced mode in the software tab in the cars. I turned on advanced mode, and all of a sudden I'm like up with everybody now.
So, then another thing I wanted to know was how does the charge rate varies with time and state of charge? It's boring if you're doing home charging, but
right, it's just a flat line.
But if you're doing supercharging, especially with these V3s that I'm waiting to use, it's interesting. It's an interesting curve that shows that as the SOC rises, the battery percentage rises, they reduce the charge rate to protect the battery. And I think it's natural naturally batteries do that anyway.
And you actually, on that battery topic there, you've also got the battery health scatter plot with the linear fit, which is pretty nice too, to kind of give you an overall look at your battery's health over time.
And it was very cool that one of my users tweeted that he showed this plot, the battery health plot, to Tesla. You saw that, right?
Yeah, I saw that one.
They replaced his battery. You have an 81 as well, 85, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How's your battery doing, battery health?
It's doing very well because, as I recall, I think those had a rated range of 268 miles. And just the other day, I did have to pull a 100% charge because I had a lot of running to do around. In fact, even despite doing that, I still had to supercharge once and hit a level 2 charger on my way home because I couldn't stay at the supercharger long enough due to time constraints. But I'm still doing 257 miles after, the car is a 2015 and it'll turn over 100,000 miles probably next week. So nice. I'll take that. I calculate, I think it's a 4% loss right now. So over that time frame, that's pretty darn good.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's nothing. This is great. Another feature of the app was a charge reminder. When you pull into the garage, if the battery percentage is below a certain limit that you've specified, then it will send you a reminder.
And that's right. That's geolocation based too, which was something that that I had a nice little when I saw it.
Right. It's geo-based location because you don't want to constantly reminded that it's less than 30%. Because it's not actionable if you're not home.
Right.
You don't want to get that when it's home. And my wife uses that a lot to be reminded of Model 3 charging.
Oh, I definitely use it too, because there's more than a couple times where I've come home and it's just, for whatever reason, slipped my mind to put it on the charger.
Yeah, no. Then we talked about the climate scheduling and smart battery prep. Smart battery prep, just to recap, what it does is that it adds a top-off charge at the time that you specify and the amount that you specify, so that when you get in the car and want to leave for work or whatever, the battery is preconditioned, and it allows you to do regenerative braking and it increases the efficiency of the car.
Yeah, in these cold Ohio winters, that is definitely a huge bonus to anyone that's leaving the garage because, I know a couple of times leaving work, everyone knows the little yellow dash line of doom that lives in a cold weather climate that says, no, you can't use regen up to except for this little small amount. And a couple of times last year leaving work, it was 0 regen permitted. It was that cold. And it's not much different coming out of a cold garage either. So again, and actually before your app, I used to do this manually. So what I would do, I'd come home and I would figure out, okay, I have 35% charge. I need to leave at 7 a.m. in the morning. So I'm going to set the scheduled time for the car to start charging at, X amount of time, whatever I figured out was the time that I needed to start at. The downside to that is there's a lot of variation there that you might not be aware of. So it was, when you put this out, I was like, well, this is a lot easier. I just plug the car in when I get home and then rely on smart battery prep to just cover the last 10%. Because what I do is I charge to 80% on the days that I have long distance. Then I have smart battery prep top it up to 90%. So I'm ready to go when I leave for work.
There was another user requested feature from one of the forums that they described exactly the process that you just described, that doing it manually, and say, okay, I can help make it automated. And the one last feature, which now, which is Smart Sentry Mode, I called it, is the one that Tesla has now. And
Tesla made a feature. What's the word I'm looking for? It deprecated a feature for you.
Right. Which I'm happy that they're doing that because they can do it much more efficiently than I can do and much more reliably. The feature was, if you're curious, it was that it enables Sentry Mode automatically except for places that you identify as safe. For those of us who don't have 16.1 or 16.2 maybe, they can still use the feature in the app, which includes me. And then going forward, we can use the native Tesla one.
And that was interesting because when they released Sentry Mode, and that was not like, I never knew why you had to manually enable it every single, like that seemed to be like for a dash cam, that's a pretty basic feature that I would think you'd want to have in there from the start. So kudos on filling a need there while it was there. But and I suspect over time you might have a couple of features that go that way. But I think unless they all of a sudden start really throwing out some bigger statistical data than they. Well, frankly, they don't give you any statistical data right now, and smart battery prep, unless they do some sort of advanced charge scheduling. I think the app will be useful for as long as there are Teslas.
Thank you. Yeah, I think they have other more important things to work on. I really hope that they work on those things and make autopilot better, and which they are. I mean, every iteration you can see the improvement.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't. Again, being an AP1 driver, I don't get to see it like you guys do. Especially that for those out there that haven't, that autonomy day presentation that they did was really eye opening because Andre Karpathy got up there and showed exactly what they're doing with that, and even to the point of the neural nets are getting so smart that even if it can't see what's happening around a corner, it's accurately predicting what is happening around the corner, and it's amazing. And yeah, so that's definitely where the cycles need to be spent at Tesla, getting that AI and that neural net tuned well.
That was a good presentation. I watched it as well, and Andre did a good job in making it accessible.
Yeah,
Neural net and AI and computer vision is my expertise. I'm going to use some of that expertise in this next app called Sentry View in order to detect and flag videos that are of interest because there's a human in it or there's motion in it. Because right now it's a cluttered mess. There are so many videos and it's impossible to go through all of them and find interesting events without browsing them all.
So actually, that's a really good point because I, again, being an older car owner, I do have a Blackview dash cam in mine, and I think in their newer models they have something like that. But that is something that I've been complaining about for my own dash cam that I can't have it alert me that something or only record when something interesting is happening or that type of thing. And like you said, you just have a list, a floor to ceiling list of videos in there. And if something does happen, which has happened to me, to my car, in way back when I first got it, someone decided that they were going to draw a penis on the hood. I did end up finding it out of complete luck. But yeah, having that learning ability or that intelligence to be able to see, hey, something's happening in this video for the parked mode stuff is insanely useful. So definitely.
Did you catch him?
So no, unfortunately, because there was no true damage to the car. Because once I got a good wash on it, you couldn't see it anymore. It happened at a resort, here in Ohio, and I reported it to the security there. And I think the one thing that I learned there is if I do go there again, because I was parked in the general lot, I parked myself. I think I'll probably spring for the valet parking, just turn on valet mode, and they have cameras over that lot and whatnot, so maybe a little less likely to have something like that happen. But yeah, that was a bummer. Just had a nice vacation and then come out to a penis on my hood.
Yeah, disadvantage of expensive cars.
Well, and again, so the whole point of why Sentry Mode is even a thing, all these people that feel like they need to put their hands on people's cars. I mean, I'm sure you've seen some of the keying videos and the guys with the truck that keyed the car and slammed the door into it on purpose and all that stuff. And I'm just like, come on, have some respect for other people's, because I think the truck one, the guy, you could see in the video, the guy was kind of looking at his own truck and thought that maybe someone hit his truck, and clearly, so he cares about his truck, so he's going to do that to someone else's car. I just don't understand that mindset. It's
sad seeing those things.
But I keep saying on Twitter, hopefully that enough of these things get out there and people know not to mess with these cars anymore because they have cameras all over them and you will be caught.
Right, that's the biggest deterrent. I think that's the purpose of having these cameras, not to catch every single one of them, but it's a deterrent.
Well, right, and law enforcement doesn't have the bandwidth to pursue everything either, probably. Right. But at least we've got a chance, right? So, there was actually a thing on Twitter where a couple of kids just decided it was parked at a high school. The owner was there. I forget why he was there, but kids saw it walking by it, decided, what, I'm just going to kick the front of this car because why not, if people know, you turn that into the school and say, hey, you had students that did this, and maybe the police don't have a lead or anything like that, but the school might be able to do something about it too. So you never know how it might be used, but hopefully the Sentry mode and dash cams become a common thing and people stop touching people's things.
I know. Hey, another thing I wanted to mention is the separate app that I've written for Mac.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the Mac System Tray app.
Right. It's called Stats Menu Bar. It's for your Mac, and it shows the state of charge, the battery percentage, and the range that you have. If the Sentry is on, it also shows you that.
Very cool. Very cool. Actually, that's how I can hook you up. I'll just go buy that app because I don't have that one yet. I got to support you somehow. Actually, and that's what I asked when I was talking to Ben from TeslaLab. Because they have a completely different model. How do we support you? Because you don't take anything. You, on the other hand, there's an easy way we can support you. Buy the app. It is the Stats for Tesla app. It is actually, I didn't buy it. So how much is it?
It's $20 now.
It's $20. You can find it on the Apple App Store. You will not find it on Android, unfortunately, for you Android users. I do send my condolences to you, but you will not find it there. Doesn't sound like you're going to ever find it there. And then we got the Sentry mode. What's the name of that in the App Store?
It's called Sentry View, and it will release in the next few days.
Okay. So beta is out now for the beta testers that have a few days for that. And then the Tray app for the Mac is out. And that again was?
Stats Menu Bar.
Stats Menu Bar. All right. Well, Ramin, I think I'm about out of time here. And I've taken up enough of your time. It's been 42 minutes of us yakking. We'll see what that ends up being when I get the editing done. But it's been a pleasure talking to you. I've been talking to you via email and via Twitter for a long time. It was good having a chat with you in person here.
Likewise. Thank you again for having me on, and I really enjoyed talking to you, and I enjoy your tweets also.
Sometimes I wonder if my Twitter account is as much a piece of the show as the show actually is. So I'm glad you enjoy.
It is, definitely. We enjoyed both.
All right. Well, I'll let you go then. Take care.
Thank you much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye.